Okay, let's talk about delta. So, delta is a very interesting concept because it allows us to hedge our portfolio. It gives us a scientific mechanism to balance our portfolio and make it price shock immune. So, delta tells us what is the probability of my option expiring in the money. Very specifically, it measures how much an option's price is expected to change per unit change in the price of the underlying security. So let's say an option has a delta of zero point 0.2. What this means is that if the price of the underlying security changes by 10 units, my option price will change by 20% of that, which is 2 units. Now, a few important things. Now, for a call option, the delta is always positive and it ranges from 0 to 1. And at the money option has a delta close to zero point 0.5, which is again very intuitive. Whether it's a put option or a call option, at the money option will have an equal chance of expiring in the money or out of the money. And we just saw here that delta tells us the probability of an option expiring in the money. So an at the money option has a delta close to zero point 0.5. And as the option gets deeper in the money, and in the case of a call option, this would mean that the price rises. Obviously, the probability of the option expiring in the money, it will increase compared to when it was at the money. And the delta of in the money option gets closer to 1 as the expiration nears because the time uncertainty is reducing. And conversely, the delta of out of the money option will get closer to 0 as expiration nears, again for the same reason because the time uncertainty is reducing. And if an option is in the money or an option is out of the money and we are very close to the expiry, the delta will either be very close to 0 or be very close to 1. So let us ground this with an example. Let's say I bought a call option at a strike price of 10,700 and the current price of Nifty, and Nifty, for those of you who are watching this from outside of India, Nifty is the Indian stock market index. So here I have a call option at a strike of 10,700. The current price is 10,500. And let's say this option has a delta of zero point 0.3. Now let's say the price increases. The spot price increases to 10,600. So now the delta will increase to zero point 0.4. Why? Because the price is closer to the strike price, I obviously have a higher chance that I might just cross the strike price and the option will get in the money. And if the price goes higher, if it crosses 10,700, now I'm beyond at the money. So this option is even more likely to finally expire in the money. So the delta increases. Conversely, for a put option, the delta is always negative and it ranges from 0 to -1. And at the money option has a delta close to minus zero point 0.5. So there's an equal chance that this option is going to expire in the money or out of the money. And as the put option gets deeper in the money, the delta decreases. So, it's pretty much the same concept like a call option. It's just that in the case of a put option, because we are betting on the price going down as a buyer of the put option, so the delta is going to be negative because we gain when the price falls. And the delta, as the expiration nears, the delta of in the money option will get closer to -1 and out of the money option will get closer to 0 because the time uncertainty is reducing. And if I'm in the money, there is a high likelihood if there's very little time left to expiry that I will continue to be in the money. And conversely, if I'm out of the money, there is a high likelihood that I will end up being out of the money if you're very close to expiry. Now here, let's consider that I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer of a put option, and I have chosen a strike price of 10,500, and the current price is at 10,700. And this put option has a delta of minus zero point 0.3. Now, if the price falls to 10,600, so we were at 10,700, and if the price falls to 10,600, the delta becomes more negative because now there is a higher likelihood that I actually might breach the strike price and this option will get in the money. And when this price actually falls below the strike price, there is more than a 50% likelihood that I will continue to be in money and this option will expire in the money. So how can delta help me? At a very basic level, if I'm a buyer or a seller of an option, it will tell me what is the likelihood of the option expiring in the money. So if I'm a seller, I would like to trade at a strike price which has a very low delta because I want the option to expire worthless so that I get to keep the premium. Whereas as a buyer, I would want the delta to be high, but at the same time, I have to balance it because a higher delta also means that there is a higher likelihood of that option expiring in the money, which benefits the buyer, and hence the premium is higher. So my purchase price also increases. So it's a very fine trade off which a buyer has to do. But for a seller, it is fairly straightforward. It gives me a fairly good approximation as to what is my risk appetite. And let's say I go for a trade where the delta is 0.25. So I know that there is only a 25% likelihood that I might go wrong and the price may just fall below the strike price and this option may expire in the money. What is the other way in which delta can help us? So let's say that I have a portfolio and I have the cumulative delta of the entire portfolio very close to zero. What this means is that now my portfolio is immune to price shocks because delta is the rate of change in the price of the option against the change in the price of the underlying security. So if my portfolio delta is very close to zero, then my collective portfolio value will not change or will not be subject to vagaries in the market or the fluctuations in the price. And we've already covered the concept of theta. So let's say I have a portfolio which comprises a lot of short positions. Short positions mean that I'm the seller of an option. So as a seller of an option, with every single passing day, I'm benefiting from theta, from time decay. So my option will gain in value by default every single passing day with decay in time value of the option. So long I've been able to immune my portfolio from other shocks, and one of the main shocks is a price shock, by keeping a close to delta neutral portfolio or a close to zero delta value of the entire portfolio, I'll be gaining by default with every single passing day just on account of time decay. So delta helps us if you're trading a naked option, delta helps us in telling us what is the probability of an option expiring in the money. Whereas at a portfolio level, it becomes something very critical because it gives us a very objective and a scientific mechanism to balance our portfolio. So even so, delta is a point in time value because we just saw that the value of the delta changes when the price changes. So it can be a very point in time value. So dynamically speaking, as the portfolio delta changes, it also tells us that okay, fine, if the delta value of my portfolio is going outside of my desired range, then what is the adjustment I need to do and on which side? So it gives us a very nice framework to create and manage a balanced portfolio. And if all this seems too much, keeping a tab on what exactly is the delta at different points of time, not to worry at all. We can provide you all of this. In fact, we can abstract all the option Greeks for you and we can provide you very nice visual plots of what will happen to your portfolio at different points of time in different price scenarios. So you can just eyeball the plot and it will tell you what is the current balance of your portfolio and if it requires any intervention on either of the sides. Okay, before I conclude, we saw here that delta is a very point in time value. It's a very dynamic value which keeps on fluctuating based on the change in the price of the underlying security. So we need a parameter which can measure the rate of change of delta. So in the next video, we will talk about yet another option Greek called gamma, which measures the rate of change of delta.